Okay, I think we're live, Amaya. Hey? And we'll just wait for some people to come on up today. It's Thursday over there in the US. It's Friday here. And it's 10:30. So Amaya is joining me today. Hi. Don't know who it is. If you want to let me know in the chat so I can see who you are, that would be great. But as you can see, I have little Amaya today out and about, who was quite stubborn and didn't want to feed at all the other day. So she's going to wait a few more days and I'll try her again. So I'm just waiting for some people to... Hi Abram, how you going? Good morning to you too. Yep, Amaya's joining me. And I wanted to do, and I don't know how you feel, Abram, but I wanted to do a bit of a follow-up on my previous video, if you actually watched it, about, I guess, the misinformation. Hi Rainey, the Viking Cat elf girl. So much difference between her and a loon. Why Rainey is actually saying that is she has a Darwin albino carpet python as well, who is pretty much the same age, or Amaya is pretty much the same age as her girl, and the size difference is really incredible. So Amaya is certainly a little girl, but she'll grow and she'll get a big girl eventually, if she keeps on feeding. As I said, she refused her last feed, so she obviously wasn't hungry, so don't force the issue. I'll just try her again in a week and I'm sure she'll eat quite well. And I'm trying to get her in view there for everybody. But yeah, I wanted to do a follow on from my last video where I didn't actually get narky, I don't believe, towards anybody in particular about their views on how to care for snakes. And I think when it comes to people talking about the basic care of snakes, it's pretty simplistic when you think about it, because all we really need to think about is their heating, that they have some hides to hide in, water to drink, and that we feed them and that we have them somewhere nice and safe to live in. I don't have any issue with people doing that, because you can research, you can find out specifically what that particular species likes in terms of heating, humidity, what their environment is and what they like out there. But more so, I really would prefer people... I constantly hear the words tolerate from people all of the time, that they only tolerate actually being handled. And that to me is something that I don't like people saying about snakes, that they tolerate. And you should do it minimalistically you know, get them out for a very short period of time and then put them back into their home, because that is where they're the most comfortable, is in their enclosure or wherever you happen to keep your snake. And I really do disagree with that. I believe they do more. They don't just tolerate. My snakes have the opportunity to stay in their enclosure or come out of their enclosure. Very rarely, especially my adult snakes, not so much these little babies that are still getting used to the world and used to me and used to being out of that little safe environment that they actually reside in. But for my adult snakes, if they could talk and you could ask them specifically, which do you prefer, is to be left alone and left in your enclosure, or would you prefer to come on out and have time out of your enclosure, I know 100% that my adult snakes would say, let me out. Let me come on out. And I back that 100%. And if you watch and have watched my videos, you will clearly see that I don't force my snakes to come on out at all. I don't believe that you really need to. If you have spent a lot of time with your snake and they have got to know you and they have got to trust you, they'll come on out. They'll happily come on out and be with you. Now, I'll add on to that, because with my big adult snakes, I don't specifically spend the whole time with them, holding them. I don't do that. Sure, I can, and they don't care. They'll just hang there with me and hang around me and whatever. But I let them have their space, and I let them go and explore, and I let them go and do things. But I've also seen them where I open that door and they bolt straight to me. They don't just take off and go do their own thing and disappear. They acknowledge me first before they decide to run on off. And it's almost like they come out and say, hi, how you going? Thanks for letting me out, and then off they'll go. And I believe it's wonderful to create an outside environment for your snake to hang out in, and not always in their enclosures. And I'm pretty sure they appreciate it, because my guys are happy, healthy snakes, and I've been doing it for years, getting them out, letting them be out, letting them roam around within safety aspects of it as well, taking them outside, letting them go out in the sunshine and explore outside. That's where they came from. And you might argue the point and say, but they're captive bred. They don't know the wild. They don't know the grass, the sun on their back, because they've been brought up inside in an enclosure. But we were brought up not to know sunshine outside. We got to know what that was, and your snake will equally get to know what that is. And I think there's still that built-in instinct that they know what that is all about as well. I think they've lost a lot of instincts, which I've done a video about, but I think they know the sun, the birds, that outside environment. It's still there from their past, and it's genetically there. You know, I think as even as humans, and I'm not referring to human and snake as being similar, but some of us are born genetically with musical abilities, or dance abilities, or sporting abilities, because genetically it's been passed down from somebody within our family. I think snakes do know outside, and the more you take your snake outside, the more comfortable they'll be outside. So this little girl is learning that outside of her enclosure is as safe and as comfortable for her as inside her enclosure. And nobody is going to tell me that by me handling her, I am stressing her, that she doesn't like it, and that I'm doing some harm to her in some way. I've done this with all of my snakes, and each and every one of them has turned out to be, well, they've got no fear. And with no fear, they have no reason to ever be defensive or frightened. And I think it's just the way to go. And if you want to have a snake that is comfortable and bonds with you and responds to you and others, but believe me, they will respond more to you than they ever will to anybody else. They'll be comfortable with other people holding them or doing whatever with them, but with you, that goes beyond what I can even explain to you. So don't ever let anybody tell you that snakes only tolerate being handled. I hate it. I so hate it when I hear it, and I hear it all the time. In every care video that I watch, that word, snakes only tolerate being handled. But why is that always what is being said? You know, is it because their snakes are defensive towards them when they go in to get them out? Some snakes are just like that within their home. And of course, once you get them out, they let go of that defensiveness, because it's not you when you have a snake that is defensive in their enclosure. And I don't think they are defensive just because they're in their enclosure. You treat your animals so well and with so much care and love and respect, and it shows in their behaviour all the time. Abram, thank you very much. And look, I have such wonderful support from the people that watch my videos, and I really do appreciate it. And I'm so glad that there's so many people out there that know this already. I'm not telling them anything new. I'm not saying anything that you probably don't already know. What I want is for my videos to reach a lot more people out there. And the people, and that was my last video. You know, my last video was saying the amount of videos out there with misinformation about them scares me, because so many are being, thank you, Drew, thanks for tuning in today. Drew the Entertainer, I've watched his videos too. But it does scare me to think that so many people are caring for their snakes in what is, I guess I call the common way. And I want them to get with the modern way, if I can call it the modern way, and see their snakes as a bit more than these creatures that need to be fed, housed, looked at, because they're what, beautiful, which they are, no denying that they're beautiful. And of course, then there's the subject of breeding. And I understand when you have a massive collection of snakes, how do you spend one-on-one time with each of those snakes? You just can't. But what annoys me with that even is seeing these people that have all of these snakes, and yet they will pick out this one and this one and this one and say, these ones are my pets, these ones I spend time with, these ones I'm going, and they admit to being able to tame them down. And yet I hear them say you can't do that in other videos, but specifically these particular ones, I will tame them down by spending a lot more time with them and handling them, so they kind of contradict themselves a little bit at times. Then I hear, and the reason why is because I want them to be ambassadors so I can take them out and share them with other people and know that they're tame and will not do any harm to anybody. So the purpose of it is they're not a pet. There's a purpose behind what you're actually doing, and that is you're taming them down to use them as ambassadors to show people that these guys are amazing and aren't out to hurt you in any way, shape or form. But does that make that okay? Yes, we want our snakes to go out there and we want more people to see them and understand that they're not going to bite us. They have no intention of biting us if they have no fear of us. But no fear comes from spending time with them. So I could take each and every one of my snakes out and show people out there on the street. Love tame. I feel more of a connection with them when I tame them down. Drew, that is true. If you don't tame them down and they're just sitting there, what is the connection with them? Apart from, this is my jungle carpet python and she's a female and she's 6 years old and she's this long and she lives in this size enclosure. What else is there then? There's nothing. I don't understand why people would want to have a snake for just that particular purpose. And I guess YouTube's opened up a whole world of people coming on, and believe me, I've learnt a lot too from YouTube and the videos that are out there. I love listening to what is going on and seeing all the different species and what other people actually do have and take care of, and learning about them, what that particular species likes and dislikes. You guys over there in the States and in other parts of the world have such an ability to have such a variety of species. It must be amazing to go to some of your Repticons and expos and the amount of snakes that you have to choose from. I mean, I'd be like a kid in a candy shop going to one of the expos over there compared to some of the shows here. And our shows are great too, and our species are beautiful too, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love my carpet pythons. I just love them, and I probably have more of them than I would any other species in my home. So, but, I love boas. I love ball pythons, but I would probably only have one. I probably only have one boa. I like to get different species and find out what they like, how they are, And believe me, there is no difference. Yes, I'm from Australia, Drew. So carpets, spotted, Stimsons, scrubbies, you know, rough scales. One of my favourites is a rough scale, which I do plan on getting this year. It's supposed to be quite challenging, so I'm going to prove, yeah, boas. I love them. The rainbow boas blow me away. I cannot believe that iridescence. Like, that is absolutely incredible when I see those rainbows, and that is definitely one that I would have. And I would love to have a green tree, and maybe one day I will. A little bit extra care, but I think I'm up for it. But I can't even remember where I was at. Oh, the different species. There is no difference in how to care for them from a carpet python to a spotted. Absolutely no difference. Your spotteds may be little, but they still feel, they still think, and they still respond the same as my big guys do. Maya screams to come out of her enclosure. She's at her door every night begging me to come on out. Tessa, my Bradley, little feisty girl, for sure. I watch my back, or not my back, my hand. But I tell you what, she's at the door. Her way of coming out is, I'll come to the door, you open it up, and I'll come out when I'm ready. You do not need to stick your hand in and get me out. I can come out all by myself. And she does. And I put my hand out, and she will climb up onto my arm. She doesn't like me going in and physically picking her up and pulling her out. So read your snake and get to know your snakes as total individuals. If you do that, you'll never go wrong. And please, when somebody, if you're watching a video and somebody says a snake only tolerates being handled, speak up and tell them that's false information, and to stop saying it. That is the one thing that I want more than anything to be stopped completely being said about care videos, is that word tolerate. Because tolerate. Are you tolerating me? Are you tolerating me handling you right now? No. What she's actually doing is, where, what's that, what's over there? Can I get over there? Can I go check that thing out? Scott, this isn't her tolerating me handling her at all today. And I only get Amaya out maybe every other day. I might spend 10 minutes with her, but that time's going to get longer and longer. The bigger she gets, the older she gets, the longer she'll be out. And people ask me, how long should you allow your snake to be out? The answer is, for as long as your snake is happy to be out. There is no time frame. My gosh, Lily comes out at 7 o'clock in the morning and I'm putting her back home at 7 o'clock at night. She can go home, her enclosure's open, she knows where it is, she knows how to get there. If she wanted to go home, she would go home. So there is no get your snake out, handle them for 5 minutes because that'll be long enough, or handle them for 10 minutes and that'll be long enough. Go with what your snake is happy with. So guys, I hope and I know that everybody who has watched already knows a lot of this, share the video with people. When you hear people saying what you believe to be wrong, say something. What's the worst that can happen? That you get called a fool, that you don't know what you're talking about? How I've been called it 1,000,000 times. It's like water off a duck's back to me now, so I'm just so used to it. So anyway, I am going to finish up with little Miss Girl here, who has decided to stop dancing for a little while and have a rest. There she is. Her stripes are starting to show now, and with each shed, of course, we'll see those pop even more. But it's not the beauty, it's the disposition, the temperament, and the personality that wins hands down when you have a snake in your life. Oh, we're boring her. Right, guys, thank you for tuning in. I just want to let you know my last live stream is processing, and hasn't moved past, so no longer can you actually watch it. I'm hoping this one processes and goes through. I have contacted YouTube and asked what is going on, and I know a few people are having this issue, so hopefully that'll be fixed soon. So again, thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I will be putting up a video for you all to watch tomorrow, so I hope you'll tune in for that one. So from me and